I will call this meeting of the Wenham Planning Board to order. Today is Thursday, January 14th, 2021. We're meeting on Zoom. It's a virtual meeting because of the COVID crisis. And everyone is present, myself, Ann Weeks, my co-chair, Virginia Rogers, and members Dan Pasquarello, David Anderson, Peter Clay, Margaret Hoffman, who's our able staff person, and Catherine Tinsley, who is recording. So Margaret, we have an entirely administrative agenda tonight, which is kind of nice. We get to actually do some planning.
Yes,
planning.
we do. And it's more just for discussion tonight. There's nothing that we really have to act on, but I thought it was a good opportunity, since we didn't have any hearings, to, have a discussion about some of the things that we're doing right now. It looks to me like David's gone. Oh, is he still here? Peter, no.
David's here.
All right, that was just me. My screen didn't have everybody on it.
Yeah, everybody's here as far as I can tell.
Yep. Good.
So I did not stay on the call on the weekend while the rest of the budget was being discussed, but we talked about trying to get funding for the master plan. And I know Peter was there and David was also at that meeting. And it sounded as though we actually will get the money that's been asked for. I don't know, Margaret, do you want to?
Yeah.
What happened after that?
Yeah. Not much happened after you all left. They did continue on with other budget items. But I do think we had a lot of support. I thought it was really encouraging. It sounds like most everyone's going to be on board with it and understands the necessity for the master plan at this point. So yeah, they didn't really even complain about the 125,
Yeah, so can I just say something? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
It's real garbled back my way. Margaret, you did a really nice job, and you're so eloquent. It was just really impressive to watch you work. But yeah, everybody knows we have to do this.
Well, thanks. I do spend a lot of time staring at screens and talking these days, so it's
yeah. You did really do a wonderful job, Ann, and I think that was a really big part of everyone's acceptance of it.
Well, I'm an advocate. That's what I do for a living. So anyway, so now we have to actually do this thing. And I made some promises. I went out there with some promises about community outreach because I know we can do it. Margaret, I know you can do it because we did it with the open space and recreation plan. And it was really fun to do. And I think it's great to talk about trying to schedule sort of an initial, let's educate people about what we're about to do kind of thing. But I also spoke about, the plan itself being really interactive and really trying to involve the community, that this is not just going to be a paper passing or paper pushing exercise, but really trying to engage the community in it. So now that we've said that, we actually have to do it.
Well, and I think the first phase is we have to get through the budget. We have to get them to say, yeah, we'll put it on the budget and then get it through town meeting. So what I was hoping we could start with is a public session, a public information session to, it'll be virtual, but we'll get as many people what my plan I'm thinking is we'll have a presentation about reasons for a master plan, what's involved in a master plan, and how Wenham will go about it, what Wenham's last master plan was about, and, what kinds of things this whole plan will address, just so that people will be able to support it when it does come to town meeting. So that's what we're thinking of for February.
So I have to say that I probably spent half an hour skimming the 1960 master plan. And, I think we should somehow make that available to everybody if it isn't already, because it was fascinating. Both in terms of the tonality, and what they were trying to preserve. And what was even more fascinating was how so much of the stuff they thought was going to get done didn't get done.
Right.
And then what's funny is, Margaret and I spent a little time screwing around with Boulder Lane, and it's the same freaking water issue today as it was in 1960. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, where is Wenham Neck?
What, as far as I know, I think it's where that point comes. Is that Wenham Neck actually?
I thought Wenham Neck was the part of Wenham that stretches over into Beverly Farms.
I think that's right.
Is it?
Catherine Tinsley has her hand up, and
Catherine,
she's lived here longer than any of us. So
I'm only third generation. If you look at Wenham, it looks like a bottle, and the actual little piece at the top tips when it starts to go down Grapevine Road. So when someone says Wenham Neck, they literally mean the four corners of Dodges Row and Walnut Road and Larch Row.
oh,
That was the
Walnut
Wenham Neck
Row.
Church that someone redid and lives in now.
Really?
yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
That's the neck, because that's where it starts to twist.
Oh,
I thought
Interesting.
that was called Five Corners.
Me too. That's what
It's
I would
four
have thought.
corners, and it's not
it's
Not Five
Wenham
Corners.
Neck.
Okay.
It's four corners.
Or it is, but only in some circles.
I'm gonna bring up the map. If we could, maybe you can show us, Catherine, on the map where we're at.
You have to look at Wenham being a bottle-shaped town, and you'll see the bottle and then the neck. So it's really called Wenham Neck because of the bottle. Shape.
I see Wenham shaped like
Fascinating.
an arm with a fist, right? The arm with the fist.
So
Well, you got to remember, years ago they didn't have this view, and they thought Wenham Neck has been around for hundreds
Wenham
of
Neck,
years.
right on the
Oh,
map.
there it is, right there.
You see that?
Yeah.
Wenham Neck. It's right in there.
Interesting.
Wasn't that funny? I wonder why they call it that, but anyway.
So wait.
Because it looks like a
where's
neck.
Larch Row? Oh yeah, look at that.
Yep, that's Grapevine, and this is Essex Street.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So where's Dodge on that?
over
Dodge
here.
Row is over here.
So it's not really what I would think of as four corners. It's
No,
further.
this is four corners right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But
Arch, Walnut, and Dodge.
it
But
has
this
five.
name has been around forever. I mean, hundreds of years. So you got to remember, they didn't have this view. They felt Wenham kind of looked like a neck, and instead of calling it East Wenham, they called it Wenham Neck.
Yep.
They should call
So
that.
it's sort of all the way over to the. It's near Gordon College, but not quite.
No, not quite.
Well, that's Iron Rail, right? Right there.
Yes, this is Iron Rail up here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Wenham Neck, we just had that, somebody asked for some changes right in that area.
Right, further back further back toward what we're calling Four Corners, kind of up.
Here?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Where that little sort of popsicle stick road is. It was
Right.
15 and 16 on that map that were
Mhm.
put together, I think.
I think it's back. It's right by right to the right of your cursor, Margaret.
Yeah, it's 15 and
Okay.
16 off of that popsicle stick. I'm pointing at it, but of course you can't see my screen. The little cul-de-sac thingy.
Nope, to the right.
To my right.
Right to the
Right
right.
there.
Yes, right
Right
there.
there.
So the people had bought, I guess it's 18 and 15 and 16 and combined them all.
Yep.
And put a new driveway in through 15 and 16. Anyway, that's what we just
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, oh,
Is that what
yeah,
you were
these
thinking
are
of,
people
Peter?
that- Yes, Mr. Costa.
Actually, no, I was thinking about if you go down, Again, I'm doing what Ann's doing. I'm pointing at my screen and you can't see it.
I know.
No, right around Wenham Neck
Yep.
just to the northeast of the M.
Oh, off Dodge's Row, kind of.
Yeah, we had that, somebody who was like trying to turn one piece of property into two or whatever, but it was actually easy. It was easily done.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Okay.
So
That was
so
Kelleher's old property.
Yeah,
Got it.
maybe.
Mm. Yeah,
So
so anyway, but I was thinking about dates for the public session and I think we talked about later in February. Does anyone think February 17th would work? The Wednesday?
The question for me is what we need to do to publicize it so that someone comes.
Yeah,
There are a couple of lists and Facebook pages and things like that we can
exactly, yeah.
promote it on, but
Yeah, and I think that's how we get the word out in Wenham about anything. We get we have a lot of connections through I would call them social organizations more so than official, town organizations that have Facebook pages. The town clerk is on a Wenham Facebook page, and then we put it on our website. I think we can get the word out just so people. And again, it's really just an information session. We can run it like a webinar even if we want, or have a chat box, question and answer box. A lot of different ways to do it.
I also think there are a lot of other boards, like the Open Spaces Board, the CPC. If we ask them to, say to get it out to their people, and for their people to then get it out to their friends, hopefully we can get a pretty good cross section of
Right.
Wenham residents.
Yeah. Okay.
and so you're thinking Wednesday, the 17th
Yeah.
in the
It's Ash
evening.
Wednesday, but I don't think that's a big problem.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Anyone? Yeah. You can't.
And you're thinking in the evening, correct?
Yeah. What do you think? Like 7
6:30?
o'clock, maybe 6:30. We could do 6:30. Yeah.
Could I add something here?
Sure.
And that is that Jackie Bresnahan does an absolutely fabulous job of advertising her citizens seminar, whatever she
Yeah.
calls it.
Citizens Academy.
Yes. And so, please get her involved in promoting it.
We don't do anything in Wenham without Jackie. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
surprised
we don't need a
she's
town
probably on here
administrator
someplace
search.
now.
We have one.
Yeah, she's our only millennial that we have, and she does it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Jackie's great. She has a lot of responsibility right now, but yeah, we definitely will utilize her skills. She has a little network that she uses anyway, so she pops it out and everyone gets it.
That's great.
Yeah. But if February.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask if it's possible to have the master plan put up on the website or somewhere so people can do what Peter did and kind of look through it.
Yep.
Can it be scanned?
Absolutely. And you know what we will do is I'll put a page I'll set something on the planning board page that I'll have the master plan on it. We'll have all the requirements of a master plan. We'll put a lot of the information session stuff up on the website even beforehand, so people have an idea why they're going there. We'll make a flyer or something for the website.
And maybe a little something about the process.
Yep, what the process is, what the state requirements are.
Yeah, I was going to say the state requirements haven't changed much for the towns since 1960, but they've certainly changed some, and we need to really.
Yeah.
I guess to what I'm hoping is to get people excited about participating, and so rather than focusing on what the state requires, more on what we're going to do, and maybe we could talk about that, what it is, because I was sort of making it up as I went along in that
Mm.
selectman's presentation based on experience that I've had doing these in the past.
Mhm.
But let's maybe talk about I was really sort of like, okay, I'm pitching this here, but
And you did a great job, yeah.
not sure that that's exactly what Margaret's got in mind. But I do think that it would be good to get really broad public input, like through a survey, through a charrette. You know,
Yeah.
this is the town, this is Wenham Neck, this is our history.
Right. And that, that all will come after we get the funding.
Right.
Once we get the funding in place, then we start the actual master plan process.
Yes, no, I understand that. I'm just thinking it would be good to communicate to folks that this isn't their only shot at talking to us about a master plan, that they're going to be asked to really
No, it isn't even,
participate.
Right, and it isn't even, we're not even looking for their input on what they want to see in the master plan. We're just asking, we just want to let them know that they want to fund the master plan, that, you know, why they should vote to fund it right now. No, the next step will be, there'll be tons of public input, and we will want all of their input. But I think right now, we don't want to ask people what they want to see in a master plan yet. Until
No. I'm just thinking that if we're describing it to them, rather than describing, here's what the state requires, we would say, this is the process we're going to fund. We're going to ask you eventually to really participate in this. And by, getting the funding for this, which we hope to get at town meeting, we'll be able to do this.
Yeah.
And then describe what this is.
Yeah. Well, I just through some of the things that we talk about in the office, and things that are always coming up for me are, things like development. Development is a big issue for every community. In Wenham, we have certain kinds of development that we want to see. But we also, I think it's time for us to look at the town as a whole and what's different than it was in 1960. What kind of housing are people looking for now? What is our demographics? Who really lives here? We don't necessarily know that. I think anecdotally, sure, we can, get a pretty good idea who we think lives here, but we don't know for sure until we do some deeper dives into the community. What is our population, our aging population? What is it that they need? And although in the past few years, Wenham has done a few different types of plans. We've done the open space plan. We did a housing action plan. There was an age dementia-friendly study. There's a couple of other things that we've done, historic, assessments kind of thing. But a master plan can bring all that together, because as much as we've done, I think a lot of you may realize some of it's done, kind of isolated, not in a vacuum essentially, but where we don't all communicate with each other on all those separate issues. So a master plan brings it all together, and you can weigh what's most important to the community. Where do we want to put our resources over the next years? And your taxes in Wenham are high. I think everyone would attest to that. And a master plan can help with that by saying, maybe we have opportunities for economic development, but until we bring everyone together, and if the community were to say, hey, let's create a commercial district here, a real commercial district, where and allow by right certain things, or not, or just a lot of those issues have to be brought up and discussed so that Wenham has a nice firm plan going forward. It's not that big of an ask either in Wenham, because it's not a huge town, big city kind of thing that are dealing with a lot of issues, but you're dealing with not enough issues that that's some of the things that we're looking at.
Margaret, I had a question. It's Dave Anderson.
Yeah.
David, it's really hard to hear you. Could maybe turn your volume up a little bit.
Closer?
Hold on. Is that good or is it still bad?
It's a little better.
I'll get closer. So, my question is, when you start talking about these types of things, like development, and obviously the perennial question of, commercial revenue and these topics that always keep coming up, even in my short time in the town. What I think about is how much data gathering and data analysis will be required to present meaningful trade-offs, to us and to the public as we make decisions here. And when you start thinking about that, if it's done right, $125,000 seems like almost a bargain. I mean, is that the expectation here, that there will be kind of rigorous analysis as part of this process, that, there will be discussions of, okay, if we block off 25% of the land or whatever to zoning commercial, we can expect this much, development and revenue. And this is the impact in terms of open space and da, 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 da. I mean, I'm just totally making this up, but is that how it comes out?
Yeah, it absolutely can come out that way. We're in a good place in Wenham because we do have studies on all of these separate issues. And I think we can get down to that point where you'll say, well, if we make this, this area commercial, we can expect to get this type of business in there. I mean, we can't do, well, we do have a study on Boulder Lane. We have a study done on that, and we've been told what can and can't go there, or what should and shouldn't go there. There may be other parts of the community that we want to look at in a similar way. The master plan won't necessarily take individual pieces of property and go down that deep, but it will identify areas that we should say, all right, you might want to talk to these people about doing X, Y, and Z there. And it will give the town the opportunity to weigh those, those advantages and disadvantages of going down that road or not, and where funds should be spent over the next years. But yeah, we can go pretty deep with a master plan. Even 125,000, I think we can definitely do it in Wenham for that.
Well, and Margaret, maybe this is a great time to segue over into what you need from us on two fronts. One is this February meeting, and the next is, if we get the funding, we're going to need to interview consultants and design studies. And I don't know what you're envisioning in terms of board member participation in that process,
Yeah.
but I think it would be a good thing to have a conversation about.
Yeah, definitely. The more participation we can get from the board members, the better. I think at the very least, once this, we'll need to determine a subcommittee or have some members of the board to choose the firm that we select for the master plan. That'll be the first step. And then I honestly see the planning board as a whole being involved in every step of this process. If we, just to back up, I'm sorry, for the information session, I think we can put together a good presentation. I mean, I can give some of the presentation, but I think, Ann, it would probably be best for you to do the bulk of the presentation as the chairman of the board. And I'll help draft it and put it together for you, and we can do a PowerPoint. So that, I think that's what I would expect at this first information session. And the other board members just to be there, to be available. And, in case questions come up. My other hope for this session is that we get somebody else to come in and do a presentation. Through the Massachusetts American Planning Association, there are other communities that I've found who have recently done master plans. And, you know, maybe if we could bring one of their planning directors in just to say what their experience was, or even maybe their board chairman, to come in and talk to us just a little bit about what their process was and how it benefited their community. Maybe even we could do something about some of the challenges, just so people have an idea of what to expect.
Is that
That's-
feasible between now and the 17th of February to find such a person? And
Yeah,
feel like
yeah, I think
this
so.
is something
Yeah.
you can,
I
I mean,
do.
I'm happy to, you know, MC if that's what's
Yeah.
needed. I'm also happy if other board members want to take a role in discussing part of this. I don't have to be the talking head for the whole period of time. So if you want to do that, you know, take some piece of it, let me know.
Have any of the board members ever had involvement in a master plan process? Dan, have you ever been in your professional capacity?
I have not, no.
No. Okay.
I have
Yeah.
several times.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Peter, you ever been involved? No. Most people haven't. Only planners. Planners are involved in them more than anything. And it's a different animal now. However, by July, when we get the funding, who knows where we'll be? Hopefully we can get together in person for some of these charrettes and, you know, the meetings that we'll be having. But a lot of it will be virtual.
And hopefully people will remember what we did with open space and recreation, which I think was really fun.
It
You know,
was
we
fun.
had the
Yeah.
library, we went around, people, you know, really were able to.
Yep.
And a lot of that was designed by the consultant. So,
Yeah.
right?
And that's
That
their
was,
job. Yeah, that's
Right.
their
So,
job.
yeah.
So, and again, once the master plan process starts, we won't have to come up with how to do things. That's why
Right.
we're hiring the consultant. The consultants have a way of doing it that, you know, we'll have an input in, of course, but, and it will be geared to Wenham, and we'll need input from the community as to what works best in Wenham, which I think most of us know what works in Wenham and how to get people involved. And that we can guide the consultant with that.
Good.
So,
Okay. So,
do
you
if
need
think
any more?
February 1st, do you think the 17th is too soon? My only thing is I want to get it done so that by town meeting, everybody is supportive. And I mean, this can just be our first public session. We can have another one in say, April.
I don't think it's more than a month out, Margaret. I don't think it's too soon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it is more than a month. I think we can do it.
yeah. And I don't think it's too early before the public meeting either. I think
Yeah.
it's about right. So,
Yeah. And then after the public session, then we'll continue to talk it up, advertise it, keep it on the website. You know, I'll keep popping it out front and sending out.
yeah, I would say invite reporters, but we don't have a newspaper anymore. So
We'll have the Hamilton Wenham Chronicle. Oh, no, it's called the Chronicle. And
not anymore.
Right.
It's- We
Well,
get
we
like,
Garbage.
have Instagram. We can do an Instagram. Keep popping that out.
Facebook,
Yep. Facebook.
Jackie.
Yeah,
Jackie.
she'll do it. Actually, you know who's really good is Nikki Robar. She does a
Nikki.
lot of our outreach. And I found out that we have a what do you call them? Public relations company. Catherine, did you know that we use a public relations company? I don't know what we use it for, but
Well, perhaps we should use them for this.
we will. I'm going to find out what's that all about. So we can hopefully use it for this. All right. So I will get started on the February 17th public session, and I'll create a PowerPoint for you to, you know, go through, and you'll have all your talking points, and we'll get a website page done that has all the information about it, and even the last master plan will be up there. Oh,
Great.
I think you're muted. Ann.
Remind me, whether we have a meeting before the 17th, is it the week before?
Yes, our meeting is 11th.
The 11th. So if there's enough time at that meeting, maybe we could see the PowerPoint all together and decide if other people want to be part of the
Mhm.
presentation.
Sure.
Can you shoot to have that ready for that
Oh, yeah.
meeting so we can talk about it?
Yep.
That'd be great.
Yep, we'll have that. The 11th meeting. Okay, great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good. All right. So let me see, I'll bring back the stop share. Your screen. There's the agenda back. So the next one is the planning grant and the regulation update. And I've told the board before, and I think, of course, in an ideal world, we would have had our master plan done first, and then we would do our regulation update. The regulation update can't wait. And I got the funding thinking, I really didn't think we'd get funding for a master plan. I feel bad saying I was that pessimistic, but I didn't think that the town was going to be able to fund something that large.
Well, we haven't gotten it yet, so.
Yeah, I know. I've already spent it. So I got the grant. I've got $59, almost $60,000 to do the regulation update. I talked to our planning finance director yesterday, the day before, to try to determine how best to go out to bid on this. We're still working through that process, but I anticipate having the bid or the RFP ready by the end of next week, and we'll have it, get it out, and then by the I'd like to have by mid-February have the proposals back, and then have someone in place, by the beginning of March at the latest to start that process. It's going to be an inclusionary process, not as extensive as a master plan. There will be public outreach, but essentially we're looking at these regulations in terms of best practices. We're looking at climate resiliency, as well as cohesion between our regulations. And I feel like once we get those done, that would be something that we can utilize through the master plan process. We can say, look, we've gotten our regulations to where they're correct in terms of state regulations, stormwater, all the technical things are there. Then through the master plan process, we'll identify whether we want to change zoning areas, whether we want to create new districts, whether we want to change our regulations to allow for, housing choices or commercial choices. But we'll know at least that our regulations all are cohesive, and that if we do decide to change one, we have to look at the other one, but they'll all be in the same formats, which they should be soon anyway because of the codification. But so that's my hope, to get these regulations updated over the next, maybe six or 8 months.
So Margaret, sorry,
Dan, go ahead.
I was going to say, so it sounds like the regulation update is going to facilitate the master plan process.
I think it will, yes.
So do we want to do that part sooner rather than later?
The regulation update?
Right.
It's going to be done sooner. We're going to be starting that, like I say, before the end of March. I just have to get the bid out and get a firm chosen to do the.
Yeah, we're not even going to have the money for the master plan until July or
Right.
something, if we get it at all.
Exactly.
So then the process would start next fall.
Yeah.
Which hopefully we'll be able to be in person by then. What I was going to ask is that the regulations changes are going to require public hearings. You're talking about outreach, and I'm thinking, if we change any substance, we're going to need a public hearing.
Right, exactly. If there are any substantive changes, which there will be in the zoning bylaws, those will have to go to town meeting through the planning board, but I expect those for town meeting 2022, not
Okay.
2021. Planning board rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land can be just amended by the planning board without town meeting vote. They just
Without a
need-
public hearing?
They do, no, they need a public hearing. They
Yeah.
don't need, I almost said no public hearing. They do need a public hearing, but you don't need town meeting vote. General bylaws, I guess, again, depends on what's changing. But yeah, so I anticipate having the subdivision rules and regs. I think the planning board can do that over the next, 6 or 8 months, and then can vote to make those changes. But then any zoning or other changes we'll put on town meeting 2022.
And when you're talking about public outreach, can you explain what you mean by that? Because
Yeah.
some of this is kind of technical, so.
Yeah, some of it is technical, but we have to have public meetings to let the public know that we're doing this project. And to say, mostly some of the zoning regulations, but again, not to the point where we're changing the community and how the community behaves. It's more just to make sure that everything's cohesive, and that we're following, state guidelines.
I think
But
if I
there is a
remember
process, yeah.
when we
Peter?
discussed this before, it's like creating, here are the different types of buckets of changes,
Mhm.
right? And just
Yeah.
saying, here are the 3 or 4 reasons why we're making changes. And it should make sense to people, like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and the funds that we got are, one of the larger grant is accelerating climate adaptation. So we have to have an eye towards climate resiliency. So that's
Right,
kind
so
of,
is that like a floodplain ordinance or?
no, yeah, it'll look at floodplain, water resources protection, stormwater management, all of that stuff. That's what we'll be looking at mostly through that portion of the grant.
Maybe water supply.
Yes, yeah, water supply, definitely.
So I'm wondering actually if the meeting in February wants to kick off the whole shebang. Not just talk about, oh, you should vote for the master plan, but say, look, we're starting this process.
Yeah.
And the first step of this is we're going to take a look. We've gotten some money already. We're going to take a look at our bylaws and ordinances around land development and try to bring them into a place where
Yeah.
they can better support land development here. Then we're going to ask the community to become involved in a real plan for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So get us to where we are, because we're really not there yet, and then get us out 10 years. Maybe pitch it that way.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
way
I like that.
it's so theoretical.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's a good idea. Okay, great.
Because otherwise it's confusing if you're asking for public input on a plan, right? And then you 3 weeks later have this consultant coming to talk about ordinance.
Yes, true. Yeah.
How does that all fit together? So I think it would be good to explain that.
Let's roll it all out. Yeah, roll it out kind of at the same time. Okay. All right, great. I'll work on that. I'll try to, pull something together that lets people know this is, we want you to help us fund this, but we're already starting here. So we're already kind of starting that process beforehand. Okay. Okay. Great. So the regulation update, the planning board, yeah, will be involved, but I think it would be great if we had like one or two people on the board who could devote some time to helping on this, the regulation piece.
I'm good. I'll help.
Oh, good. All right. Writing your name down in pen.
Yeah, and I would like to help to the extent that I can. I should be a little less crazy at work after
Okay.
January 20th.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. All right. So that's good. I'll have Peter and Ann and I will keep you guys in the loop on all of it. Rather than sending all the emails to everybody, you know, you kind of gonna, well, I'm sure we'll be communicating a lot over the next few months on that issue, on this one. Okay, good, great, thank you. Do you want me to move on, Ann?
Unless people have other thoughts or comments about either of the first two items.
Maybe I'm a little slow, but I still wonder a little bit about how doing the regulations before the plan, the master plan, is going to impact that or restrict it or not allow us enough freedom in the master plan.
You're not slow. I have the same concern.
Mhm.
It feels to me like you do what you do when you have the funding to do it. I think that it seems to me like what we have to tell people is we're just trying to bring the codes up to, to today's day.
Yeah.
And then
And
we'll do the plan, and then we're going to have to revisit the codes again to make.
Right,
the
but it
plan.
might be a matter of years, a couple
Right.
of years before we get a master plan and then have to revisit it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, there are things in our regulations that have to be acted on now. In particular, our stormwater regulations
Mhm.
have to be changed because of MS4 permitting, or we could face fines. You know, there are some things that we do need to act on. Things like our solar bylaw. You know, we want to make sure we're addressing current standards and current issues. Small cell wireless, rather than, we have our cellular bylaw, but it's personal wireless facilities bylaw.
So Margaret,
Yeah.
this regulation update, I assume, is going to address internal inconsistencies in sort of like the zoning bylaw and things like that, right?
Yes.
So this is all the stuff we encountered when we were doing that kennel exercise and all of those other boat
Yeah.
storage things, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, absolutely. That's first and foremost what we're going to have them look at. But again, we do need to look at things like solar, wireless facilities, stormwater, all those things that they're things that are happening, that are going to happen, and we need to be prepared for them outside of a master plan. The master plan will say what we want to do.
Well, so the master plan is kind of it stitches everything together, right? Okay. So, all right.
Yeah.
So the regulation update is more granular.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's a good way to put it.
And the regulation update, like I said, I think the regulation update brings us up to today.
Mhm.
So that, okay, then we can start the planning process for what we want for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And after we're finished with that, then we might have to do more to the regulations to make that, to implement the master.
I thought it
plan.
was for 60. Isn't this planned for the next 60 years?
Oh, like the last one? Yeah, that makes it cheaper, doesn't it?
I know. Oh my gosh.
Much more cost effective if you spread it out over 60 years.
Well, and the plan is misleading because on the front cover it says 1980. So I thought, oh, we did a plan in 1980. You know, at least I was alive. You know, but then when I started reading it, I'm like, oh, they did this in 1960. This was supposed to be the end of it. This was the end result. You know, this was the future. So, yeah. So, yeah, but that's a good way
So
to.
perhaps 20 years, Dan.
Typically a 10 to, I would say 10-year plan is good. Especially today, the way things change so fast.
Okay, you're going to give us a COVID update next, it looks like.
Oh. Could I say one more thing?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and that is that if we run into any inconsistencies in any particular cases or anything that questions that people ask us, do we just pass them on to Anne or to you? Or Okay.
Yeah, to
Make
me,
our-
absolutely. I've got a list of things, when we come up against things between zoning and, regulations, whatever, we keep a list of those issues that we run into that we can't really easily determine.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have things, absolutely.
Okay.
We want to communicate whatever you think, Virginia, you want to tell us.
Okay.
Tell me at least at the end.
Well, probably not.
Yeah, tell me what you think.
Well, it may be, we don't need any more discussion on this, but one of the things that I'm aware of in trying to work through one of our recent situations is that we have several different ways of dealing with the subdividing one lot into two lots, not two or more, but just two lots.
Mhm.
So there's not any kind of consistency or we say regulations that you need to follow, any path that you need to follow.
Oh, some of
And-
that's state law, I think, too.
Pardon?
Some of that is state law too, although I'm sure Dan can speak to that better than I.
Well, and honestly, a good subdivision, rules and regulations governing the subdivision of land in Wenham, they were written in 1984. So, whatever, they're not terrible, but there's a lot of things in there that essentially don't make sense when you look at them in the scope of 2021 and state regulations that have changed since we wrote those. I think that a good subdivision rules and regulations is easier to follow, and that will be our goal with this regulation update.
Yeah.
Is creating regulations that are understandable and easy to follow for everybody, for the permitting boards as well as the development community, and homeowners and the development community. Because that's one of the worst things in planning is to have regulations that are almost impossible to follow.
And I think that basically when we're looking at the larger case, we're thinking of taking a large piece of property and dividing it into a subdivision. Whereas I've seen in my 15 or how many ever years I've been on this committee, that a great deal of what we see, I would say a majority of the work that we see, or the applications that we have, are for providing another one more house lot in a dividing off one house lot from a given house lot.
Yeah.
That is
From existing.
so when you go to the subdivision rules and you are trying to apply them to the building of a single house, dividing off just a piece of that land,
Mhm.
there's enough confusion in there that it's hard to know how to apply the laws
Certainly.
appropriately.
Yeah.
So that we
Yeah.
don't all end up making our decisions through the land court.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That will be our goal, is to have regulations that permitting boards as well as the public can understand and follow, and to keep us out of litigation. Yeah, that's my goal.
Thank you.
That's a good goal.
My goal. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so hearing no further comments about that. Move on to item 3, which is town hall closing.
Yeah, I just wanted to let the board know about town hall closed as of last Friday to the public, and can be, you can come in by appointment only now. There's a new portal on the website where you can sign up for an appointment if you have to come in. But if the board needs anything from me, you can just call me. I can, if we're picking something up or whatever, I can meet you outside. There's different ways that we can do it, but yeah, we're not there. There's just a very limited amount of people allowed in town hall anymore for a while until this is over.
Makes sense. I heard the whole discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just wanted to let you know, and that portal is on the website.
I know Essex County's numbers are soaring, and it sounds like Hamilton Wenham is having a little surge too. So,
I think everyone is.
all right. H5250.
Yeah.
Tell us what that's all about.
Yeah. So this, and it's up on the screen. It's a really big bill. It's now on the governor's desk, waiting to be signed. It's gone through a lot of different, iterations before it got here. There's a lot in here. There's a lot of money items.
Would you mind just giving us the title of the bill and telling us what it's about, just really quickly? Because I myself have not been following this, so
Yeah,
I
this is
confess
the
I have
one-
no idea what this is.
Oh, okay. This was originally, I think, called an economic development bill. Not quite sure what the exact name of it is now. I'm sorry. But it's House Bill 5250. It's really a bill to increase economic development as well as housing in the state of Massachusetts.
Margaret, can you make it just a little bigger on your screen?
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah.
Is it in response to, like, is it sort of a COVID stimulus type thing? Or
No,
where does it come from?
Yeah, no, it's not really a COVID stimulus bill. It's something that's been around for a while. And a lot of the economic development organizations, as well as housing organizations, have been working on this bill for a long time. So it's not COVID. It's more just to promote growth and housing in the state. So there's a lot here, and of course I wouldn't ask you all to read it, but there's a couple of items that will actually affect Wenham directly. One of them is, yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Just a quick, how much of this is about 40A?
Not a whole, just section 19. Let me go down to
Okay.
19. Sorry.
Is this the one about the MBTA?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be back in a couple seconds.
Okay. So let me just find this one. There's all. It seems like I don't often read through these bills. I just don't really have time or patience to read through them. But most of the top of it is about money, and so here we talk about the Department of Housing and Community Development. Let me see. Here's the money part. Money. Oh, and then there's a good one in here too about higher education and creating an ombudsman position. I think that's how you say it, to help people with student loans.
So this sounds like it's become a Christmas tree. I just saw MBTA float by, an MBTA community, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So if we start with the one thing I wanted to let you know is right now, when you want to amend a bylaw, a zoning bylaw, you need 2/3 vote of a town meeting. If this bill passes, towns will only need a majority vote to pass zoning regulation that has to do with certain housing provisions. So they are in here to amend a zoning ordinance to allow any of the following by right. So multifamily, accessory dwellings, open space. So if you want to go to town meeting and amend your zoning bylaw to allow multifamily housing or accessory dwellings by right, you only need a majority vote. You don't need 2/3 anymore. So that's one. That's one point. The other one is about an MBTA community. I'm going to back up. Wenham is an MBTA community. And if this bill passes, MBTA communities will have to allow multifamily housing by right within a half a mile of a train station. So
And
that,
are we an MBTA community by virtue of the fact that we host the rails or the
not so much
station?
the station, yeah, we're part of the station, Hamilton Wenham Station. So there are a lot of provisions of this. It'll have to be a by right. There's a density, there's certain density provisions. I don't know all of the ins and outs of it just yet. And I'm certain KP Law will be sending out something to us as soon as it gets signed.
Is the station in Wenham and Hamilton? I thought most of the
Yeah.
station was in Hamilton.
The parking's in Wenham. The parking for the MBTA station is in Wenham. And, you know, so I think when the train stops, part of the train is in Wenham. So it's considered, that's why it's considered Hamilton Wenham. It's right on the line. Actually, I'm going to bring up my my map just so I can give you an idea of what it has.
Yeah, that's great. Bring the map up. That would be terrific because I was trying to envision it. That was where my
Yeah.
brain was going was,
But
do we
again-
have any station in?
Yeah, if you, section 19 discusses it and talks a little bit more about it and how it will, how it will look. If it is signed into law, we'll have 90 days to adopt this. So if it does happen, I think we may be looking at getting it on the warrant for town meeting in May. So, and what that will do is create this district where multifamily housing is allowed by right.
So that basically affects that one property. Is a large property with like horses on it.
Yeah,
I've
it
forgotten the name of
definitely,
that.
it's the Haley property, yeah.
Haley, that's who it
That's
is.
that. Let me get the map up here.
Because we looked at that property when we were doing the open space plan.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So this yellow area is pretty much the half-mile point. So here's the
Oh, my.
station. Yeah, so it encompasses, if they do it this way, you know, as the crow flies, right? And this isn't exact, but it affects all of these properties here. So it comes down past Larch Row on Route 1A. So the properties along here would be able to develop multifamily housing by right with no special permit.
And is it only on, it's not a circle, it's only a half circle because otherwise
the
it's
other
not
half is
Wenham?
in Hamilton. I don't,
So Hamilton, the other side is the same thing, right?
same thing, a half mile that way.
Ooh, that's not going to be popular.
Yeah, you know, whether it's realistic to think that anyone's going to do that, I don't know. I mean, there are density regulations, and I think one of them, you know, it tells you pretty much how many units per acre. But it's also contingent on septic. So that, you know, they'd have to be able to get septic systems in that could handle multifamily housing. But the one property that I think everyone's kind of thinking about is, I think it's Haley is the name. Actually, I can.
Haley is the one with the white fence and the horse on it. And
Yeah, and that's this piece right here. This is currently zoned commercial. This is our business. This is a business zone property now anyway. I'm going to just show you our zoning map. You can see. So if you see this, these red areas,
oh, yeah.
that's zone for commercial. I'll show you the districts. Or business, it's business. So there are,
Margaret, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is the town line shown on the map there anywhere?
right here, yeah, right here. This black dotted line,
That's why it's only half a circle because it
yeah,
Right, but where's the station?
right
the
here.
blue dot.
So wouldn't this only be a half mile from the Wenham portion of the station?
Well, the station is about right here. So yeah, it's only a half mile from the Wenham portion is here. This is a half mile into Wenham from the station.
But I think the point is Hamilton is going to have the same thing. So you might as well think of it as a circle because it's a half a mile
Yeah, it'll be a half a mile.
radius.
Yeah.
And it makes a circle. So
Well,
it's going all the way out to Patton Park.
I mean, I haven't looked at the bill. I'd like to see how they define station and what
We're
exactly
on the
we're.
list. Wenham's on the list. We can't deny that we're.
No, I'm not saying that, but I think we might want to drill down to see if we're going to be drawing circles like this, exactly where we're supposed to be drawing the circles from. Or
Oh yeah, and again, yeah, this is just, you know, me taking a half mile,
Yep.
half radius, and yeah, drawing a circle, right? Yeah, is it exactly?
I'm going to try to take a look at the bill this weekend.
Yeah, there's a lot in it,
And,
but
and it hasn't been signed yet, but it has been
got through the House, and it's on Governor Baker's desk. He does have the opportunity to make changes to it too. So I don't know how strong people are, you know, what people are saying to him. If people are calling in and saying don't sign it or do sign it.
well, it sounds like there's an awful lot in there. So
there is, but I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Sorry, I'm just curious because I couldn't. So that would change the ability for by right, or the that would become the law, or you would be unable to access funds if you don't have that in your bylaws.
Well, that's true.
No, I don't know. Is that
David? No, that's a good point, David. If we don't adopt it and allow it, we would not get, actually, I wrote that down. It's the Housing Choice Initiative Funds, Local Capital Projects Funds, and Mass Works Infrastructure Funds. Town wouldn't get any of those funds.
So road work
Yeah.
funding.
Yeah.
Infrastructure and capital funds.
I remember being part of a workshop probably 3 years ago, maybe even more than that, where these things from the Massachusetts, what is it called? The MRWA?
Mass Water Resource Association?
No, I'm confused about what it is, but the sort of the organization that talks about growth and planning throughout the entire Boston suburban.
MAPC, the Massachusetts Area Planning Council.
So
MAPC,
right? Thank you. And these things have been on their agenda for a very long time.
Yes.
In order to have more consistent rules throughout the area, so that a town that like Wenham, the things that its look and feel are more important than anything else. They just have to be part of this process. That if we want to have provide transportation and housing to the working population, then all of the towns have to take part in that. So I think that if you do not have a by right regulation, then anyone who wants to build and put in a multi-family unit or whatever they want to do, then we would be liable for suits, and we would likely lose in a land court because we are required.
So I was thinking of this more as an interesting way of trying to promote density around public transportation, which I think is what it's doing.
Yeah.
And I don't object to that. I'm just thinking that it's going to be interesting to explain this when we have to amend the zoning ordinance to.
Yeah, and I don't, again, I don't know if he is going to sign it or if this part of it will end up staying in. A lot of there were other provisions, Virginia, some time ago in, I think, this similar one of the iterations of this bill that had more zoning issues in it, that, you know, you were gonna have to do a lot of other kinds of zoning, and all communities are gonna be the same. But I think those fell by the wayside, and this is that one thing that I think all communities are now saying, oh, all MBTA communities. I think that was this one foothold they felt they could hold on to. But it's most of the communities on the eastern seaboard. Anyway. So yeah.
So that will keep us busy for some portion of the year.
Yeah. Again, it depends on if it goes, but you know, we'll see. We still have to wait and see if it.
It's passed both houses, right? So
Yeah. It has, yeah. Well, I think they're also seeing the issues that are coming up in the state because of COVID with housing and, you know, the house challenges people are facing, finding affordable housing. Now, there's no real affordability component to this either. So, I mean, I didn't see in there where you have to allow by right affordable housing. Not that, you know, I mean, nobody would really do it unless they had to. So, you know, we're not going to be requiring affordables, I don't think. But again, I don't think it's going to affect a huge portion of Wenham. Like I say, it's just that half mile. And
Mark, what section was it?
say again?
What section was that in the bill?
19.
19.
Yeah.
well, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah, take a look at it. I think I sent it to you. Did I send it to everybody? It was in, I think, the last email. I pulled it off the state website.
You did send it to us.
I have,
Yeah,
yes.
read through it, see what you think.
110 pages.
Only 110 pages.
Yeah,
A
we got
long weekend.
Big type though, it'll be fine. Stuff reads fast.
And if you go to the governor's webpage, each day they update what's on the governor's desk. They update that every day as to what he signed and what he didn't sign. I didn't check it tonight. He could have signed it already. Though.
Does Massachusetts have a deal where if it doesn't get signed after a certain period of time, it goes by the wayside, or?
Yeah, he only has, he has 10 days. He has until the 17th to sign it.
Yeah,
And then it gets kicked back.
interesting.
It looks like it was passed unanimously in the state Senate, which is pretty wild. I think it's a Christmas tree effect.
Yeah, I think that's the Christmas tree. Yep.
I've never heard that phrase. Is that?
Oh, that's
about Bill?
yeah. It's a law. I guess it's a lawyer term. It's when you
Okay.
take a bill that's supposed to be for A and you hang ornaments B through Z on it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that way you
Yeah.
can get it.
Oh, that's a good name. That's a good name for it.
This is interesting though. It's 15 units per acre, cannot have age restrictions and must be suitable for families.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's going to be wild to sell to this town. If I can say that. Are we still recording? That's going to be a
Yes, you
wild
are. We're in
provision
a public meeting.
to sell
It's
to
going
this
to
town.
be.
So
Yeah, we'll be talking about that in the master planning process. So within a
Yeah.
half a mile of a train station, don't bother with what you want to see there because
Mm-hmm.
you're being told what it's going to go there. And I don't necessarily disagree with the idea that development should be clustered around public transit. But
Yeah.
anyway, we should move on. I think if
Okay.
we.
All right. Let me see. So I think for me, that was it, except for the minutes. I don't know if anybody had any other items they wanted to bring up tonight.
Can you give us a little bit about the town administrator search and what the timing is? I know there was the
Yeah.
board with the
Well,
people
they've
just appointed.
they've created the search committee. I don't know, are any of you on it? Did anyone get there? I'm trying to remember who. I know Phil Colaruso's on it.
Phil is, yeah.
Yep. Diane Bucco, town clerk.
which is good.
Catherine would know. Catherine, who else is on it?
The
Ken
Admiral?
Whitaker,
Ken, okay, Ken.
Bill
Admiral?
Wilson, Dean Peterson. Yeah, Bill Wilson, and Lisa Fall.
Who's yeah,
Lisa Fall headed up the Pingree Park Playground project. She's an attorney over on Settlers Lane.
and a young person.
We have 4 men, 4 retired men, and 2 women.
Hmm.
Not that anyone noticed.
Phil's not retired, is he?
Bill's not retired. He's my age, so
Yeah, Phil's still working hard for the EPA,
Right.
as long as we have an EPA. Yeah, so that's moving forward. We don't know when that will happen. There is a headhunting company that's working with them too. So that's what
and a number of us, I think, have spoken to the the person who's the headhunter. She reached out to a number of people on town boards, so I know I have.
Good. Good. Oh, just one other thing. Next Tuesday, I think it's, no, not Tuesday. Oh, let me just check my calendar really quick. The Community Preservation Committee is going to be looking at their applications let me see. I put it down the other day. Gosh. Catherine, do you know when CPC's meeting next? What date?
I should
She
I
knows.
should
Yep, they're
know.
on the 21st.
I should know, and I don't.
I don't have my phone in front. I don't have my phone up here.
They're scheduled for the 21st and 28th and the
Yeah.
4th.
So on the 21st of January, I think they're going to open their applications.
Yep.
And yeah. So I put 2 applications forward, one for the Affordable Housing Trust and one for the Open Space Committee. The Affordable Housing Trust is just asking for affordable housing funds to replenish some funds that they've used this year and to give themselves, a bucket of money to use if things should come up they can get at. And then the Open Space Committee is looking for funds to do a feasibility study for the West Wenham Playground, Higginson Park, which would be good. So if anybody wants to chime in and say it's a great idea to fund.
I did put in a letter of support for the Higginson Park.
Yeah, thank you,
Study.
Annie. We did submit that with the application.
Hey, sorry, not to go backwards, but I've been looking at this bill that you circulated. There's a provision in here to impose a $50,000 bond requirement on actions challenging the approval of special permits,
Yeah.
variances, or site plans.
Yeah, I heard about that today. So if someone is to challenge, is it just on housing, Dan? On like if someone challenges a 40B or something, or?
Well, so 40B challenges follow 40A's 17 procedures, so
Okay.
it would apply to both. So if we approve a special permit or variance and someone or a site plan and someone challenges it, the court would have discretion under this to impose a $50,000 bond on
Yeah,
the plaintiffs.
yeah,
That might have a chilling effect.
I think so too. You don't see as many appeals, that's for sure.
It says online on the governor's desk that he signed it in part.
Oh, he did. Ooh.
In part.
Doesn't in part, yeah, because that's what they were talking about today. That
And no more detail than that.
no more detail.
Not yet.
Okay.
And there's not a PDF of it, or is there?
Anything he crossed off or?
I can't
so.
see it yet anywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, so I guess that's about it for me, except for the minutes.
Right. We need to have a look at those.
I think I have those. I think this is them.
Ooh,
Hold on.
Zoom 100%.
I read them thoroughly and I could not find a single typo.
You better check with Dan.
Typo.
Dan found one, right?
Sorry, Peter, that's the wrong answer.
Is it? What did I miss?
You missed the modder plan on page 2.
Rats.
Page 2.
Easy to do, Peter.
Oh, yeah, right here. You got that, Catherine.
Yeah, I did.
Very
I got the
good.
changes.
Yeah.
From Dan.
Are people comfortable that they can see these changes, or should we make them bigger so they can be?
Make them bigger. The changes in red, Catherine, are those the ones that Dan made? These are Dan's changes, the document that he sent me.
Yep, I have that.
Okay, great.
Looks about right to me.
Okay, I'll just show Dan's changes. Right here, here. Just a few little ones.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes as edited?
I, Peter Clay, motion that we accept the edits as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah,
All in favor?
ho-
Dan?
yeah, I'm in favor, but don't we need a motion to also approve the minutes rather than just
Isn't that
accept
what
the
we
edit?
just, isn't that
No.
what we just had? Oh,
Said the
Peter,
edit.
It
you have
was
to,
in- It was a motion to accept the edits.
we have to move to accept the minutes as edited, I think.
I
Peter, can you
second.
amend your friendly
Oh.
motion? I'll make the motion. I move that we that we accept these minutes with the edits as presented. Peter Clay has seconded. All in favor? Weeks says aye. Pascarello, aye.
I, Anderson.
Anderson says aye.
Rogers, aye.
Roger
Clay
says
says
aye.
aye.
Clay says aye. I think we are all set here. Thank
Oof.
you.
Great. All right. Wonderful.
Would you like a motion to adjourn, Madam
I would like a
Chairwoman?
motion to adjourn. Thank you very much. You
I
read my
move-
mind.
Move to adjourn.
I will second your motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Rogers, Clay,
Aye.
Anderson says aye. Pascarella
Aye.
says aye.
Aye.
Weeks says aye.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Always fun,
Unanimous.
guys.
Good night, all.
Bye.
I'll be in touch. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Have a good weekend, Margaret. I have no questions this evening.
Okay, good. You're all set?
Hi, Virginia. Yep, I
All
am.
right. Good night.
Good night.
Aye.
Good night.
Thank you.